Hey, what's going on, guys? This week, we're going to finish up the bottom end of this engine, get the oil pan back on it. And before we put those heavy cast iron heads back on, I want to get it put back in the chassis so we can get our new motor mounts in where they need to be. That's the plan. Let's get to it. Okay, so this is the aftermarket S10 V8 universal motor mount kit, according to the internet. But before we get that on the engine, we need to do a whole lot of cleaning up on this mess. Just going to freshen it up a little bit, make it a little neater. We got to get the bottom end of this engine finished, so let's get to it, man. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I remove and replace main bearings. This is probably the shade tree backyard method. I'm sure it is. I'm going to do it anyway. This is just a cotter pin that I flattened the head out on, so it'll fit in the oiler. Make sure it's not thicker than the bearing that you're trying to take out. Alright, so I'm jumping in one more time to show you the rear main bearings. Those babies are down to the copper. That's not good. Got the rear seal out, changed that. Had a slight mishap. Yeah, that's not fun, is it? Managed to get through the entire engine without a mishap until that. Got all the bearings changed. Got the rear seal changed. Not sure what happened. I know it was in right, but sometimes it goes like that. We'll put the new end caps on when we get them, torque them down to the right specs. But until they come in, we're going to get on this master cylinder and get it mounted to the firewall. Get it hooked up to our pedal. One less thing we got to do. Alright guys, there she is. She's in. All hooked up. We're going to wait to plumb it in until after we get the engine in, just in case there's anything funky going on with it. But we did finally get our dash bezel in, so we can go put that in. Finally get our gauges in, or start the process anyway, let's put it that way. So yeah, would have been a lot farther along this week had I not cracked that bearing end cap, but you know what? It happens. I think we're going to cut it short today. Got some bad weather coming in, and I have a job to do for the next couple of days, so it's going to be a couple of days before we get back on this thing. But by then, hopefully we'll have the end caps. We'll get that taken care of. We'll get this all cleaned up. In the meanwhile, throw a little bit of paint on the block, throw a little bit of paint on the chassis. So we'll be back out here in a couple of days. Catch you then. Alright, what's going on, guys? It's been a few days since we've been out here, and as you can hear, it's raining pretty good. We had a storm a few days back, all that snow melted, and now it's raining. So what we're going to do today is I'm still waiting on the bearing end caps. They haven't come in yet, so we're going to go ahead and I cleaned up the engine. We're going to get some paint on it, put the new motor mounts on, temporarily put our oil pan on, and maybe we can stab it in here and see if we can get these motor mounts in place. That's the plan. Alright guys, we got our engine block all spruced up. We're going to go ahead and get these heads all cleaned up and painted. Okay, our next move is to get these motor mounts back on, so we can get this thing back in and find out where on the chassis exactly these motor mounts have to be mounted. Let's do it. Okay, we got our motor mounts on, ready to go. Just checked the mail. We got our bearing end caps. So what we're going to do is finish the bottom end. Well, guys, I had every intention of making this a long video, getting the motor back in the chassis and getting the motor mounts where they need to be and all that good stuff. But I do believe they sent us the wrong end caps. These end caps do not fit on that crank. It says they're for a small block Chevy 350 4-bolt main, but it's just off just slightly, and you can feel that this groove is raised. Those are not the end caps for this engine. So back to the drawing board on that. All right, let's see if we can't get the front of this chassis cleaned up a little bit. Throw a little paint on her. Okay, that's pretty much all we're looking for. Scraped all the loose rust off it, wiped it down with some degreaser, and we just covered it with our rubberized coating, I guess you call it. So I guess we're going to leave it at that this week. We got our engine cleaned up and painted. We got our heads cleaned up and painted. We got our chassis all cleaned up and painted. So we did make some progress. Got our master cylinder on. Next week, we do have the dash bezel. We can start wiring some stuff into the dash, gauges, whatnot. Still got a few items in there that need to be painted. The ashtray cover and the dome light. We can get that painted. We might be able to do some other small painting like the headlight bezels. Maybe work on the door skins. Stuff that I can do in the shop. We'll just keep moving on it. Doing what we can do. So until next week, man, take it easy.